Hey guys, today we're going to be covering charts in PowerPoint and adding charts to our presentation. So we're going to start off with this presentation and then go to the third slide. And there's two ways to insert a chart. You can go to if it has a content box already placed in the layout, you can just choose the insert chart icon. Or if it doesn't have a box like this, then you can also go to the insert tab and then insert a chart right here. So click on the chart icon, but we have a box right here, so we're going to click on the insert chart icon. And notice how the default is a column chart, okay, as opposed to a bar chart that goes horizontal. Column charts go, up and down. And we want a 3D, let's say we want a 3D clustered column. That's this one right here, not a stack column. Looks a little bit like this. Okay, and we're going to click OK. And that's what our chart looks like. So we didn't really have any data, but we put it in the chart, and then it kind of gives us an area where we can add data in here in our Excel window that popped up. Okay, notice the blue. This is sort of the blue score here. That's the data, and it kind of automatically puts them in there for you because we didn't give them any information. So they just made up some numbers by default. So let's. Alright, let's make sure that let's change the range now. 1 to C5. So let's just say we want to change the range of this. Okay, take the series 3 numbers out. We only want series 1 and 2. And you see the chart changes with it. And then we're going to select column D. And you can delete this column. So it's a little bit of Excel work here, but we're going to delete these numbers because we don't need them. So just highlight column D. What I did was I waited till the cursor turned into like a downward arrow. And then I clicked on column D, and then we're gonna right click and delete. Okay, so all those numbers are gone, and we're only left with these ones. Now we're going to go to B1, and we're going to change the numbers. So we're actually going to put some information in this chart, or this Excel worksheet within PowerPoint, and then press Tab, type 2014, and then enter. And then we'll start adding some categories. Let's say spring, summer, kind of like 4 quarters here, but we're using seasons instead. So instead of 4 quarters, we're using seasons. All right, and then we're gonna add in some numbers. So okay, so that's what our sales numbers look like. I mean, in real Excel, you put dollar figures around that. You'd format it as accounting or currency, but we're not going to get into that. So just leave the numbers the way they are. And then we're going to we can close this and still leave the chart in our PowerPoint, which is kind of nice. So our chart didn't disappear. It still has the numbers relating to the Excel worksheet, but now we can close the worksheet, and then the chart's still there. Alright, so now we're going to import an Excel chart. So a little bit different than creating one on our own. So we're going to add a new slide here. So we're going to go to our last slide that we were just on and click New Slide. And then we're going to open our Excel. Alright, so we're going to... okay, so we have our pie chart here, and we're going to just click on it, make sure everything's highlighted, press Control-C to copy it, and then go on over to PowerPoint, and then click inside this, and press Control-V. So that's one way to just copy. It's very simple, just copy and paste a chart over to our PowerPoint. You see our PowerPoint knows that the chart has to be a little bit bigger than it was in Excel, and it does that for us, and it fills out the content box for us. Now we're going to resize and move a chart, so we're going to go to slide 3, and to resize a chart, you actually go to the sizing handles. So I'm going to click on this chart, and we're going to resize it down here. So the pointer will become like a 2-headed arrow. Okay, so that's how you would resize a chart, and I can see right here. Okay. So when it becomes a 2-headed arrow, that means I can resize it. And if I want to keep I can hold down shift while I'm doing this too, so I keep everything in balance, but or maintain the aspect ratio of the original, but I didn't there. So I just made it smaller by the 2-headed arrow, and then when I go to the border and it changes to a 4-headed arrow, that means that we're ready to move it. That's a moving arrow. So watch what happens when I get it right in the center. The red line comes up vertically. Now horizontally it should come up too, but we don't see it, so I'll just try and get it somewhere in the center and place it there. And that's how you would resize and move a chart. Alright, so you can also choose a different chart type based on what you selected. So let's say, you know what, this chart doesn't look as good as the other ones, or I want to try other ones. You can just click on them, make sure the chart is highlighted, and then you just go to the Chart Tools tab. And you can change colors too if you want to experiment with the colors or styles up here as well. But we're just going to change the actual chart type, so that's right here in the change chart type icon. And you can choose from a variety of charts if you want to try it, or you could preview a few right here. But we're going to try a bar chart, so for the 4 seasons. And we're going to do a 3D clustered bar chart. Yeah, so that's going horizontally. And then you press OK. And that's how you would change the chart type. If you change your mind and say, no, this one works a lot better. Although I should probably make this a little bigger. And the legend doesn't really make sense, so I'm going to move that. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so now you could actually, we're going to move to a new presentation. So, and then we're going to click on the chart to select it. Then in the Chart Tools Design tab, so right here, click on that, and then we're going to click on, so you can also edit data if we have to. If you ever make a mistake or have to edit the data, you can do that here. So edit data, and then, so we see that worksheet window again that pops up, and now we can edit the data like we did last time. So we're going to click on B1 and type 2011 just to fill out the years here. 2012, 2013. It's not as good as the real Excel, but it works. So the real Excel, we'd be able to auto fit. Excel would get the pattern, the growing pattern, and just be able to copy it over. But this little window of Excel didn't allow us to do that. So but now we have everything we need. So just like we did before, click on column B and right click and press delete. So 2011 we don't need, and you see the chart changes too. Alright, so now we're going to edit data in Microsoft Excel. Okay, here's where we could have done that auto fitting. So let's say we were going to add 2015 in there. You could just go like this. Or you want to see the next 5 years? Okay, that's what I meant. So now that okay, so if you want to do that, you should open the Excel window. Alright, but I'm going to go back and pretend we never did that. Just showing you a little trick with Excel. So we're going to edit the data in the Excel window. We're going to click A3 and type equipment rental. So same thing. What I like to do is go up here, type it in the formula bar up here. So equipment rental. Okay, and then because that got squeezed in A3, we can just double click here to auto fit. And that should have updated. Yeah, and it did. So we see equipment rental change because we changed it, and we no longer have the year 2011. And you can also switch rows. So select data. Okay, so you can also do that as well. Switch rows and columns, see what happens there. So let's say if we want to present it in a different way, we're going to switch the rows and columns. Just click the switch rows and columns button, press OK, and now our chart looks like that. So you can change what's a row, what's a column, what we're looking at. So if you want to look at the years specifically, and then highlight the lift and pass equipment rentals over the years, or switch again. So this button just makes it easier. If that's not there, we can go to select data and then do this, push this icon so you can play around with it. If whatever, I think that first one actually looks a lot nicer. for the years, just to show growth over the years, whereas this one, okay, kind of more of a comparison between lift passes and equipment rental. I guess you could argue for both, but that's how you would toggle between if you were comparing two things, years versus lift pass, equipment rental. Alright, so another way to change the chart around a little bit is to, within the Chart Tools Design tab, go to Quick Layout, and this will kind of give us a preview of some of the chart layouts we can choose from. But let's choose from, I don't know, Chart 2, and it tells you kind of what's inside the charts here. So Quick Layout, Layout 2, looks like this. And that is another way that you can modify a chart layout really quickly. Now we're going to move on to work with a legend. So a legend in the graph. Some of my colleagues would say they work with a legend. Get it? Dad joke? Anyway, yeah, working with a legend. Anyways, so we're going to use this presentation, and in the chart, click the chart elements. So that's this button right here, and chart elements. So we're going to click here, and we get this chart elements box up, the legend box. So we're going to legend. Okay. So if we want a legend, we can keep that clicked, or if we don't, we can deselect it. So legend off, legend on. Okay, depending on what you want. And then we can also go to like a sub menu, which would give us more options. So we can put the legend at the top, left, bottom, wherever it makes sense. And then we're going to click bottom, because for this, there's too much going on at the top. It doesn't look really good on the sides, so we're going to put the legend on the bottom here. And then we're going to click more options. So we have more options here for the legend as well. Here's just the legend options, but you can also go to effects and fill as well. But let's click, if we go left, same thing as before. And then, okay, we'll leave it on the left side there. We'll close the task pane there. So we'll click it over at the, we'll click our mouse on top of the border of the legend. And then you can actually, there's another way. So instead of moving it, kind of, we can get creative and, yeah, move it closer to our chart like that. Because there's no space here, maybe too much white space, you can get creative with it. So that's another way to move the legend around. You just move it around manually. And the last thing we're going to do for this one is on the design tab that we're already in, add a chart element. And then we're going to point to legend. So this one, you can also take away the legend here, move it to the right, just some more. It's exactly like what we just did, but here's another option. So if you want to just add an element up to the chart that wasn't there before, you can add all these other things too, but this is just the legend. Alright, and we'll move it back to the bottom just like we had before. And we'll leave it in a similar way that we added the legend element to our chart. We're going to add and delete chart elements. So using the same chart, we're going to make sure it's selected, and then go to the design tab, and then we're going to go back to our add chart element. So this is a really easy way to add elements to our chart that aren't there. And we're going to add some grid lines, and then we're going to click primary, major, horizontal. So horizontal lines, as you see, they come up here. If I did vertical, it would look like that. But we're going to select the horizontal, so actually click on it, and your chart looks like that. So it gives it a little bit more of a context there. And then we're going to go back to the add chart element. So we're going to add a few things, and then we're going to go to data labels next. So add those. Actually, we're taking that. I take that back. We're taking those away. So take away the data labels, and our chart changes. So go to none. Now we're going to click the outer frame of the chart. So this one. Make sure there's a solid line there if it's not already selected, and then add chart elements again. And we're going to point to the axis axes. And we're going to choose primary vertical. So see how we want to put our axes on the vertical line here. And what we're measuring, that's what it'll tell us. We're also going to add another chart element. So I'll point to data table, and then click more on the data table options. And then this format data table task pane opens. So we're going to say clear show legend keys blocks. So we're going to deselect it. Okay, so with it, without it. Alright, so we added a data table to this. It might look nicer if you don't have too many numbers on the page. You can see how it'd be a mess if you had more than that, more than 6. We're going to clear the vertical and outline checkboxes. So deselect them. Looks a little nicer, more open, and then we're going to close the task pane and leave the chart like that. And no, take that back. We're just going to close the task pane and then drag the bottom selection handle on the chart frame downward to increase the chart's height by approximately one inch. So not too big, but 1 inch there. And now the chart's nice and big and has all this information about the numbers down here. So like a data table, and that's how we would add and delete some chart elements. Some formatting to these charts. So we're going to make them look a little nicer, and I'll show you some different options you can do when it comes to formatting your charts. So the first thing we're going to do is apply and modify a chart style. So that's a really easy way to format a chart, because we can just kind of choose a different style, and some of the colors get changed, some of the effects get changed without having to do kind of make individual changes. But just a really quick way in the styles gallery in the chart tools design tab. So we're going to choose style 8, and you see totally different style, different background, and we just clicked one button, so that's nice and easy. And it adds bevel effects and different background color, like I said. So that's just a really easy way if you don't want to sort of go through the unique parts of formatting, just kind of pick a different style that fits. So that's one option. And now I'm going to show you how to change the chart area fills, so the chart colors. Okay, so we have park admissions here, and then we're going to click on so make sure the chart is selected in Chart Tools tab. If for whatever reason it's not selected, you can always go to this and do chart area instead. Okay, so make sure the chart area is selected, and then we're going to click the format selection button, and this format chart area pane comes up. We're going to do the fill first. So picture or texture fill, it's the texture we want to do, and we want to choose, there should be some options. Okay, so the texture fill, so we have some nice textures here, and you can kind of play around with it, but we're going to go with granite. Okay, so that's the granite background. See how that looks nice. And your PowerPoint probably had, sorry, I was playing with this earlier, so mine went right back to what I already did before. But if yours looks like this, see how the font is very dark, doesn't really match. But if we change the transparency now, we make it a little lighter, kind of mixes better with the font, so you can play around with that. But we'll stick to 50%, and that's how you would add if you had a picture background, you could add that too, but we have a texture that looks really nice and kind of works with our gray theme we've got going on there. So that's our filling the chart. And so click on the chart, go to format, go to the format selection, and then we'll close up the fill options here, and we'll go to border in the format chart area pane here. So all we have to do to this one is just add we want to add a very thick border. Okay, so we'll choose this color here, black text, lighter 35, and we'll just increase the border width we'll make it thicker to 3 points, and then close it. And if you click outside of the chart, you can see how thick that border is. So it kind of looks nice, and that's how you would change the fill colors of the background of the chart and also the border. But you can also change individual columns. So we did the border. Now we're going to apply formatting effects to different parts of the plot. So let's click the blue bar. See how I click on one blue bar and all of these get highlighted. or sorry, column. I should say column, not bar. It's not a bar, it's a column. So click on the blue column, and we're going to go to Format, obviously. Go to Shape Effects. We're going to choose Bevel. And now some versions of PowerPoint say round, some say circle bevel. Either way, it's this one right here at the top left. Okay, same thing, same idea. Alright, and see the difference, how this is nice and 3D. So I'm going to do the same thing for the red and the orange bars. So I'm going to go to Shape Effects again, Bevel, Round. Again, Shape Effects, Bevel, Round. And now all of them are like that. Now our columns look more 3D in a round shape. And then we're going to select, so that's, oh, see how it's picked a series? So we could have selected series 2012, 2013 for those different columns. But now we're going to go back to the chart area. So it selects the whole thing. And then we're going to do Shape Effects again for the whole chart area. And then we're going to do a 3D rotation, which is kind of fun. And 3D rotation, last one on the right. Okay, and choose that one. And then you see the whole chart receives kind of like a 3D effect. And then now we're going to format the chart's data series. So we're going to add some plot points to this. So in the same PowerPoint, make sure the chart is selected. And then click one of the red bars. And if you want to, if just in case you ever want to format a single bar or column and not the other ones, you just double click. And then it would only format this one. But if you click once, it'll format every one of them in the series. So yeah, nope. Okay, I'll redo. Redo. Now when I click once, it gets all of the reds. But if you double click, it'll only get that single one. Maybe if you want to highlight some information. Okay, but we're going to format the red ones, so alright, Format Selection button again. Brings up this Format Data Series pane over here. Column shape, so we're looking for column shape, and then we're going to click cylinder. So that, wow, that looks really 3D now. So we click the cylinder style or shape heading, and then we're going to repeat this for the other ones as well. And then watch what happens when we gap width 50 between the other ones. Yeah. So, all right. So now we'll do the same step for the. So just in case you missed that Format Selection button, we're gonna go cylinder. Gap width is 50. Yeah, the gap width is the same for everyone. And do that for the orange ones as well. Cylinder. It's kind of cool because you can mix it up a little bit, but I guess we're trying to be consistent here, so that's okay. So we're just gonna leave it like that. They're all cylinders, but like I don't know. Maybe that wouldn't look as good. I don't know. But you can play around with that. So, but we're gonna make, for our purposes, we'll make them all cylinder. Keep it consistent, and then we're gonna adjust the chart axis. So you can adjust chart axes too if you want. Click on, so make sure this chart is highlighted, and then we're going to double click one of the numbers here. It'll bring up a task pane to the right. There it is. So that's just an easy way to get to the format access pane over on the right side. So just by double clicking one of the numbers, box right here, we're going to change this to, see how it's 0 to 3,000. We're going to change the range to 4,000. Maybe just give our chart a little bit more space to work with. And see how nothing really goes up to that 4,000, so we have more space now. And then if you ever want to if you ever try something and then figure that didn't really work that well, we can always reset. Now we'll go back to 3,000. Okay, and we can collapse this. And then we're going to go to the number heading. Kind of general number that we use, but it really should be currency. So just like here, we're comparing currency numbers. Make sure that when you select this, the number of decimal places is actually 0. We want it to round up to the nearest dollar, so decimal places is 0. And then we're going to close the task pane. So now you see the numbers over here. It's in currency format. So just another way to format some of the numbers. And then on the Home tab, we're just going to drop the size by 1, so make it 16. And then we're also going to, because it's kind of a boring color, we're going to change this to a dark blue. Okay, still dark color, but maybe the blue makes it stand out a little bit more. And that's it with formatting our charts, and that is really the end of chapter 6. So if you stuck through, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.